you guys see this story? Hey, what's up, ecosystem? Does trucking insurance give you a headache? Well, your brain is going to be on fire because tonight we've got MCIEF, Motor Carrier Insurance Education Foundation founder, Tommy Ruke. He's here with us tonight to educate, ruminate, pontificate, and elaborate on trucking insurance. And we also have his friend Richard Brenn. He's a friend of the show and a trucking insurance fountain of knowledge. You are definitely going to want to buckle in. It's Tuesday Nights Live on Auto Transport Intel. I'm Jay, your host. Welcome back to the show. Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome back to Auto Transport Intel. I'm Jay, your host. I welcome you back to the show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. It is Tuesday Nights Live. It's finally here. We're back. Hey, if it's your first time, welcome to the show. Let me tell you what is going on tonight. You know that I welcome you with the car hauler. I want you to feel welcome. I want you to join the live chat, kick back, enjoy the next 2 hours. Because I'm taking over. I'm going to say hello in the live chat here in a couple minutes. It's a big part of the show. Please do say hello. Let us know where you're at. Let us know what's going on. Company name, product or service. Promote yourself. Share information. We're going to go into industry news at about the quarter hour mark. And that's the Facebook industry pictures, memes, stories, good stuff, bad stuff. That's the dirty side of the auto transport industry. We'll share that information. Then we're going to go into the information superhighway, and that's where I talk about tonight's topic. Tonight's topic is trucking insurance. I know it is so exciting, and we're going to dive in deep. I mean, there's a lot of information. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk to MCIEF.org, Motor Carrier Insurance Education Foundation founder, Tommy Ruke. Man, so much information and a long history in trucking and insurance. And to help us round out the panel, we're going to start it when we bring him in. We're going to bring in Richard Brenn. You guys know Richard Brenn. He's the VP of Insurance at PFA Insurance, Transportation Insurance and Surety Services, and friend of the show, friend of Tommy's, works closely with MCIEF. It is a ton of information. That's what's coming down the pipe. So what you're going to want to do is we're going to go into the live chat here in a second. I said we would, and I mean it. I want you to let us know where you are, what you're doing. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Hey guys, Ty, CTS Business Coaching. I connect dealers, auctions, and carriers. If you're a dealer and you're not getting your inventory on the lot in 5 days ready to sell, you've got a problem. It's called interest. Like I'm telling you something you don't know. Give me a call. I can connect you with an auction and a carrier, and you can get your cars on the lot in 5 days or less. 417-483-2764. Thanks and have a great day.
Okay, welcome back to the show. I'm Jay. It's Auto Transport Intel. It's Tuesday Nights Live. It is time to go into the live chat. We got 7 Seas Transport. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the show. 7 Seas Transport. Lee Jones is with us. What's up, Lee Jones? Shaggy is consulting and training freedom to learn. What's up, Shaggy? How you doing, buddy? Welcome back to the show. Thanks for tuning in. Carlos Braxton, ACB Logistics in the house, saying hello. Thank you, Carlos. David King. Hey, what's going on, David King? Whoop Datus. Hey, what's up, Whoop? Shaggy says hello from Shaggy's M Fields. Hey, Jay, it's Marcus from Exclusive Luxury Transport. I think it's a John Wayne impression that I'm doing. I think that's what it is. M Fields, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for tuning in. Means a lot. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you spending your Tuesday nights here. Antonio Tasevsky. What's up, Antonio? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Carhauler 38 is with us. Hey, what's up, Carhauler 38? Don't be afraid to hit the like button. Trucker Life TV. Happy to be watching live tonight. Cool. Thanks for making it live. We're alive, dude. We're alive together. We're here. We're more alive than Omnitrax ELD. You know, the ELD turkey came early this year. Did you know that? Omnitrax, man. Gobble, gobble. Omnitrax. That's why I keep my Kool-Aid handy. Lots of Kool-Aid needed this week. TDK Transports. Is this where I find car haulers? Yeah, it is, actually. Richard Brent, AZ's with you. RB, PFA is watching you. Get this rig rolling. Fired up, JW. Thanks, Rich. I appreciate it, man. It means a lot. We've been on the phone a lot today, and that helps me prep the show. I am not a trucking insurance expert, nor do I claim to be. That's your job, Rich, and we're going to dive into that tonight. There's a lot to talk about. John McCoy. Hey, what's up, McCoy Towing and Transport? How you doing? Now, John, I do think this is your first time here. I'm just gonna go ahead and wager. I'm gonna wager the truck. Hi, Jay. Mark from Superflow. What's up, Mark? Also, we're on the phone today, Mark. Glad to have you aboard this month. Superflow Systems in the house. Hey, Dave King. We got some CTS business coaching information. Listen, if you have a question for Ty, you got a phone number, you got an email address, ctsbusinesscoaching.com. You can email me, autotransportintel@gmail.com. I'll make sure that Ty gets your info. And, you know, he loves to spend time on the phone. He just loves yakking about car hauling. Hello, Rocky Mountain Transport coming from Colorado. What's up, C. Mosley? 414. Henry Acevedo, how can I work with you? Well, send me an email, autotransportintel@gmail.com. Let me know what you're looking for. Basically, what I do is I refer folks. I no longer actually work in car hauling. I know. I shouldn't have said it. I actually don't. I used to be a dispatcher. I no longer do that. I run this channel. This is my calling. I'm here to serve. Car Shipper, what's up, Joe? Hey, how you doing, Car Shipper? Did you guys see that show last week? That was a crazy show. By the way, am I centered? Can you see me? Can you hear me okay? Mic check, 1, 2. Did I get a text message yet? Oh, and I can also see, so I'm simulcasting. Okay, no text messages, so I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah, last week's show, that was kind of crazy. That was fun, though. I really had fun, and that was a strange show. Man, debating over the legitimacy of a dispatcher, wow. If you haven't seen that show, go back and check it out. Type in "Are Dispatchers Illegal?" and watch that. That was a crazy show. Marco Fabio watching from Bolivia. What's up, Marco? We are international. That is great, man. Thank you for tuning in. Sue is here. Hey, what's up? How's it going tonight? How you doing, Sue? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome back. Thanks for the emails and casual information about what's going on in the dispatch world. Sure is fascinating, isn't it? Where's Moozy? Who knows? What's up? Henry, can you repeat the email, please? Okay, here we go. Auto Transport Intel. And I'm really, you know what? And thank you for saying that. You know, I talk fast. If you need something repeated, let me know. This is a family show. This is a friendly show. We are trying to help. I know we get critical comments too. Whatever. L&B Transport Limited Liability Company. What's up, L&B? How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. C. Mosley says, I'm new to the business, in the process of getting everything together. Need advice on running opener and close. I'm really stumped. You could use info. Definitely, you definitely want to. You send me an email, autotransportintel@gmail.com. There's the email address. I'll hook you up with Ty and CTS. Definitely want to talk to Ty and CTS. Rob Moreland, hey Jay, it's been a while. Hopefully you got my message earlier. Rob, you are with, oh man, I can't think of the name of the company. You're a broker, right? With a, oh man, please send me, Rob, if I didn't reply to your email, please email me back. It's because you caught me, man. I'm live, on the spot, don't know what to say. Ah, shucks. So, that is the hello live chat. Okay, so here's what's going on. What we're going to do is right after this, we're going to go into industry news. I mean, like literally right after this.
Building an auto transport business is not like it used to be. The cake you bake, per se, has changed, and it's crucial that you have the technologies to change as well. You want true QuickBooks integrations? No problem. You want automatic credit card processing? We got it. You want electronic signatures? That's easy. How about a virtual dispatcher working your COD amounts and refreshing the load boards 24/7 for you? Yeah, that's right. No more, I need to bump this job or that job. It's all so time-consuming. Tell our price bot what to do, and he does it. No questions asked. Now that's what I'm talking about. Sign up today or call now for a free demo.
Dude, you know what's really cool is Pro ABD. Mark was telling me they got a couple more new features they want you to know about. There's a lot of features. It's a lot of software. Dude, okay, Superflow has all 4 parts. You guys saw the Auto Transport Software Update Q4 2019? The whole thing, right? You watched the whole thing? Thanks. So when you watch that, you learn there's 4 parts to Auto Transport Software. You got the CRM. Okay, that's where you start the load, create the load, send it to the TMS, send it to the mobile app, right? Okay, and so what's the other part? CRM, TMS, mobile app. Anybody? Anybody want to answer? What's the 4th part? Because the thing is, Superflow Systems, they have all 4 parts. Okay? They want to make sure that you're taken care of, that you've got everything that you need. The load board, dispatch center. So Superflow Systems is on it. There's the information. You don't know what I'm talking about? Call the 800 number, send them an email, go to superflowsystems.com. I'm not kidding around. I wouldn't do that to you. Okay, so let's go into the industry news. All right, who wants to have some fun? Hey, I should be a car transporter. I love cat memes, right? But they, rarely can I share a cat meme. Shared. I should be a car transporter. Sometimes it seems like that, Okay. Okay. I'm not sure if you should be a car transporter. I don't know. Wanker of the day, DCB Autos. Ignoring the sign saying I needed to take care of and still park behind. Wanker of the day. It's pretty funny. So that's an option. Oh, there you go. Just, the rubber band method. Sure. Learned it. Yeah. No. This is what you're up against at the new BMW store in Arden, Asheville, North Carolina. I like to say that it'd be like the grocery store, and they never thought about, oh yeah, how are we going to get our inventory? So yeah, we'll just, put the milk on the sidewalk. We'll get it. All right. I don't understand it. I really don't. I learned it as a dispatcher. Can't imagine being a driver dealing with that all the time. Ooh, Florida to Massachusetts. 2 vehicles for 25 cents a mile? For both? Is it for both? Wow, that is so good. Oh, it's 2 containers. Check this out. We're going to go live now to the 2 containers. Are you kidding me? That's... Why would you even do it? Really? I think I'll be a car transporter. Okay. First day on the job? No. But you know what's funny? See? Who's laughing now, huh? Yeah. You like my height stick? So does your bridge. Okay, so we were talking about... Okay, so here we go. The ELD turkey came early this year. That's right, I have an ELD turkey. Just going to set it right there. ELD turkey. I made that a year ago. And, oh, we are good. Because, do you see this? This was actually sent out. This is a big story. Drivers, Omnitrax has gone down from this point on until the system comes back. Start logging on paper. Now, what's funny, I was reading the article. Here's the news article. You can read that. There you go. Check that out. Yahoo Finance. Drivers resort to paper logs after Omnitrax ELD outages. And, let's see here. Knight Swift Holdings, 23,000 tractors. 77,000 trailers. Schneider, 14,000 trucks, 48,000 trailers. This is no small problem. I don't know if it had to do with a phase out of AOBRD. Anyways, it went down. It was like a Y2K bug. Thanks, Jay, for reading off your phone. It's crazy. Well, because my ELD went down. Nevada, here we go. You got to get this thing. Get it before it's gone. 5 Chevy Colorados, Nevada to Florida, paying 24 cents a mile. Ooh, but it's a com check. Sweet old lady. Oh, weekend loading available. Pick that up. As soon as you know what, you walk out of the casino just wrecked. All right, give me the 5 Colorados. That's what it's going to take to move it. Here we go. Hot deal of the day. Get up to Portland with 1860 dead at home. 3 days round trip. Fuel cost $1,200. Weekly net before operational cost $660. You got, all right, California, Oregon. Oh, this is Cars Arrive. Ooh, how nice. California, Oregon, $462 for a van. And then here's another van, $462. Can you do $463? Okay. Unfortunately, that rate's not even the lowest one on the board. I'm sure of it. Oh, here you go. Okay, so this was on Auto Transport Everything. All right. Example, when a pickup is not a pickup. If the truck has the pickup bed removed, the GVWR is above 11.5 per 471 BC. It does not meet the definition of a pickup and is required to enter the scales. Trailer weighed in at 17,000. Driver had a Florida Class E license only. He was previously stopped in Arizona regarding the license, cited for bypassing scales, driving out of class, placed out of service. And what was he carrying? Everybody wants to know. I mean, you can see it. Probably something like this. What, 54 cents a mile? Was it worth it? You know, they like to ask, was it worth it? Was it worth it? Texas to New Jersey. Brand new ProMaster cargo vans. I'm just saying, man. Dude, the car haulers don't like to see this, man. They do not like to see this. Haulers, I cannot stress enough. Fight for what you are worth or get out of the business. Lots of cheap cars out there now. We must hold the line. I turned down 2 this morning. The broker called back asking why. And I told them I'd be happy to email you a copy of my monthly fuel and insurance bills. If we do not draw the line, they will keep pushing us. Okay. Well, there it is. I didn't write it. I just said it. Gonna keep on saying it too. The only money they have in the game is ours. Don't anyone get it? We pay all the bills, buy the fuel, do the work. They get 75% of the money, make the deal. Not that hard to figure out, except we got to be the doomest truckers in the world. Just stop. That's it. Somebody was mad, and they had a lot. I'm going to tell you something. Family-friendly show. They had a lot more to say than that. And then we, listen. Why are the rates going down? And then we're going to talk about insurance going up. There's a lot affecting this industry. Think before you leap. But hey, you know what? United Road Services is hiring. Okay. Look at that, man. $350K annually? Is that take-home pay? Dang, that's better than being a dock worker. Okay, so here's some news. We were talking about Superflow Systems Pro ABD, right? Check this out. My Carrier Network is a feature inside of Pro ABD CRM. So when you create the load, you're creating a load, right? Hey, why not go straight to the customer? Create your own orders, right? Then if you're the broker carrier, the carrier sending to another carrier or broker, inside the CRM, you can hit this My Carrier Network button, which easily helps you find folks that have recently done that route for you. It scores by relevance. This is pretty amazing. This is how smart this stuff is. Dude, at Superflow Systems, they're not messing around. You know what it takes to find 10 of 10, 9 of 10, 8 of 10 relevance with all these different criteria of which drivers to send this load to first? Don't make 100 phone calls. Let the software do the work for you. And then once it decides which carrier to send it to, oh, here we go. Hang on, I gotta go to here. Then it'll send the driver a text and email with a link. Check that out. You're driving down the road, you're bumping down the road, all you gotta do is click a link, or have your dispatcher do it. You click the link, book it with .us. It takes you to the order in which you can just hit that request button. Take it, accept it. Superflow Systems. Send it over to Truckify. Easily send it to Central Dispatch. Anyways, you want to streamline your business with better software, auto transport software that does all 4 parts: CRM, load board, TMS, mobile app. Superflow Systems. Oh, did I tell you? You know, I didn't have time to share this. I was so busy diving into the insurance. 500,000 views. That happened, what's today? That happened Sunday. So I'm pretty excited about that. That is a number that comes from TubeBuddy. It's kind of a YouTube thingy. Filter layer addendum. Anyways, I'm excited about it. But the emails don't stop coming. So the emails keep coming. I'm starting my auto transport business. I'll be the owner operator, etc. You have questions, you can send it to Auto Transport Intel. autotransportintel@gmail.com. And, you know, we'll try to hook you up with either CTS, dispatch company. Maybe you need a referral to an insurance agency. Maybe you're looking for auto transport software. Maybe you're looking for a trailer manufacturer. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what you're looking for, or let me know what you've got that you want to tell the people about. So, we're talking about insurance tonight. Hey, brother. Let's see, where am I looking? I'm looking for the time. Hey, brother, I'm wanting to see how it may be as a car hauler delivering locally within a 200-mile radius of Nashville. I don't want to get waist deep without even being able to see the central load board. No kidding. My other option would be a tractor, 8-car Cottrell, but my biggest hurdle is not the authority, but the insurance. That's right. It is. It's a huge hurdle. Man, I get these emails all day. Here's another one. Hey, Jay, I've been reading some of the great advice on auto hauling. I'm curious about insurance requirements. Let's do another one. Love these. Hey, man, my name is blank. I'm 24. Starting out in auto car hauling. I'm in the process of getting insurance quotes. And they seem way too high. I was wondering if you have any advice. How to get cheaper insurance. Good morning, Jay. Do you have any recommendations for a insurance company? What's the best contact number for you? I mean, they do. They keep rolling in. So that's why it was recommended by Richard Brin that we do a show with MCIEF.org, Motor Carrier Insurance Education Foundation. We're really going to do this, Rich. We've been talking about this. Hey, Rich, that's you, buddy. That is Rich. This is Tommy over here. This is Rich over here. Great guys, fun guys. Talking about trucking insurance, and this is cool too. Me and Rich we're talking about this today. All right, so we got this. All right, so we're gonna take a look at this graphic as we move into the night, right? Because this will be helpful. All right. So you got your hand, right? Of course you got your hand. You got your drivers. You got your equipment. You got your business. You got your losses. You got your management. There's your insurance premium right in the middle. I should have drawn a $sign on my hand. Okay? And somebody who wants to get this tattoo, insurance premium. That'd be an amazing tattoo. Anyways, this comes from Rich Bren, VP of Insurance at PFA Transportation Insurance and Surety Services. He's with us tonight. We are honored to have Tommy Ruke, the founder of MCIEF, with us tonight. So what we're going to do is, I got one more segment before I go into that. You're going to want to stick around because we're going to go into the information superhighway, way.
Used Car Week, where the leaders and most powerful executives of the industry gather each fall, where connections are made and business is done, where knowledge and networking combine to drive your success to new and higher levels. Used Car Week, Pre-Owned, CPO, and Dealer Training Tuesday, Auto Finance and FinTech, Collections and Recovery Management, and celebrating the 20th anniversary of the National Remarketing Conference. Used Car Week, business intelligence to grow your knowledge, network, and your career. Used Car Week rolls into Red Rock in Las Vegas this November. Join us for a power-packed event unlike any other and drive your success to new and higher levels. Register now for Used Car Week 2019.
Oh, thank you, Bill Zadites, president of Cherokee Media Group, which is also the host of Used Car Week in Las Vegas. That's where I'm going to be next week, and I really appreciate that. Cherokee Media Group, usedcarweek.biz. Also the host of the Auto Intel Summit in Raleigh. We went to that as well. So excited to be there next week. That's going to be awesome and fascinating. So much information, because what do we haul? Cars. When do we want to haul them? Now, right? So we better know what we're hauling. Because I'll tell you what, I was reading an article about a flying car. We're going to be hauling flying cars? Yeah, eventually. Dude, seriously. They're really going to make flying cars. And before that, they're going to make electric cars. Now, I know there's a few electric cars now. And I've been actually learning more about Tesla. Oh my gosh, man, there's so much to learn. So at Used Car Week next week, man, CASE, all right? Connected, autonomous, shared, and electric. Those are the cars. Connected, autonomous, shared, as in ride sharing, and electric, as in EV. That is what's going on next week. That's going to be off the hook. For now, let's do it. Guys, stay with me. Tommy and Rich, hang out in the green room, 5-10 minutes. We're going to do this thing. We're going to talk about trucking insurance tonight, guys. All right, I'll try and go through the information superhighway quick. Besides, I'm not the expert. We know we're looking for trucking insurance, right? We know we're looking for commercial motor vehicle insurance, right? We know we're looking for auto hauler insurance, right? Right. Okay, so what I did is I Googled auto hauler insurance. Let's say you're looking for auto hauler insurance, first time, last time, whatever it is. You go there and you click on something like this. You got Insurance Hub, car hauler insurance, 10 things you should know. 5 things, 10 things, 20 things. So you start trying to, so you're like, okay, got different types of coverages and, okay, right, different types of coverage. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, and then based on different factors and criteria, right, motor vehicle records, right, I'm going to need a lot of quotes. Now, when I was thinking about this, I think of it kind of like a DQ file, driver qualification file checklist. It's a checklist, this isn't just a little file. This is a whole file of different pages and information and codes of federal regulations, There's all kinds of stuff. So when we think about insurance, we want to think of a profile, right? Again, that's how we have our hand. Driver. Dang it. Can't remember the fingers. But you got your insurance premium in the middle, in the palm, right? That graphic is great, Rich. Okay, so you keep on researching, and it just keeps getting deeper and deeper, the information. Not only the types of coverage, but what goes into it, what types. And then there's trucking, and then there's reefer and dry van. We need auto hauler, right? We got to get to auto hauler. Okay, right. And then we got, oh yeah, the cost. And when you get to auto hauler, you're not at 9,000 a year. You know, no, you're not. You're at 9,000 a month or more, right? And then you get into, okay, who offers trucking insurance, right? And man, I can't get a reasonable quote from any of those guys. So now what do I do? And I get frustrated. And I start, seeing like, okay, right. I'm looking at the major media sources and they're talking about high rates and why it's high and how it keeps going up. And how, okay, wait a minute. Trucking insurance is going to be the biggest part of my factor of my expenses because I got to know my cost per mile, right? And I start huffing and puffing. And then I get anxious and I start thinking about lawyers. And this is where some of this is coming from, right? You got the... Okay, let's skip those two guys. Right, I don't feel that good. Okay, truck crash lawyers, new board certifications. What is going on? What does tort reform even mean? Right? So then you start reading about that. Tort reform means laws designed to reduce litigation. Now that sounds pretty good. Tort reform. I'll have a tort reform and a pizza. Okay, right. Yeah, okay. So who's helping us? Oh, ATA. They're announcing the elevation of tort reform and marijuana as top issues. Great. And trucking takes on emerging challenges. That's in transport topics. Uh-oh. Chronic commercial auto insurance underwriting losses to continue in 2019. That's not good. What is it? What does it say? 8th year in a row? Or is it here? Unfortunately, unprofitable for 8 years. So that's not good. So what is going on here, right? I mean, the thing is, at MCIEF, what they do is they look at it from both angles. What if you're a carrier? Because Tommy, the founder of MCIEF, he has a background in trucking as a carrier. Like, he understands the trucker. But he also understands the agent. And he also trains agents to understand insurance agents, not like black ops, okay? Insurance agents to understand the motor carriers so that we can all, you got to have insurance, but it can't be so high that you can't get it. Although... sometimes it is, and which is why you got to find out what are your factors. Build your profile, build your DQ file of what it's going to take for you to get insurance. That is basically what we're talking about on the Information Superhighway. Cool, 8:32. I'm right around the corner. So here's what we're going to do. What is the business coaching question of the day, by the way? I think what it should be is, tell me what are all the, hey, there you go. What are all of the parts of the hand? How do you get your insurance premium? What are the 5 fingers? Right? You got that in mind? Be thinking about that. And then get the tattoo. You can get the tattoo if you want. Let's see here. So here's what I'm going to do. We are now going to go into the Zoom meeting with Tommy Ruke, founder of MCIEF, and VIP member Richard Bryn, VP of Insurance at PFA Transportation and Insurance Surety Services, with Motor Carrier Insurance Education Foundation. You are going to want to stick around. We'll be right back.
Navigating the complex and changing global trucking industry demands hard work, dedication, and a specialized education. That's why Tommy Ruke founded MCIEF, to assist you in maintaining the highest level of expertise in your field by providing the most current and relevant information, access to professionals, interactive seminars and webinars, and opportunities to network with the industry's best. Join MCIEF today and begin earning your MCIEF Transportation Risk Specialist designation. Achieve recognition, build your future by improving your career, and enjoy all the benefits that being a member will provide you and your company. MCIEF, moving people forward.
All right, cool. So, thank you guys for sticking around. I just sent that email invite to Tommy and Rich. They're going to be joining us shortly. In the meantime, I missed a bunch of live chats, so I'm going to jump into that. Let's see here. So, okay, so Robert Moreland, I'll look for your message tomorrow. Yeah, go ahead and send that to me. Let's see here. Oh, and Mike Niekoff. Yeah, message me, man. autotransportintel@gmail.com. You know my email address. Send me a message. Oh, okay, here we go. And we've got, I think we got him here. Let's do bang. Let's do that. Awesome. Hey, guys, can you see me and hear me okay? I'll take a no. I'll take a yes. I'll take a... Yeah, you can... Okay, you can... I can see you, and now I can hear you, Tommy.
Okay.
Okay, and Rich, you can... Can we hear you? Mic check?
Yes, you can check.
Okay, guys. You know what? Hopefully I set it up properly. This is a tough one. Trucking insurance. This is a tough area. This is a tough one to talk about, and I get questions all the time. So, Rich, you and I, we've talked, and we set this up. So we're happy to have you, Tommy, founder of MCIEF Motor Carrier Insurance Education Foundation. Please say hello to Auto Transport Intel folks and tell us more about yourself.
Hello. Well, I guess the thing to start with is I'm a son of a trucker. I grew up in the trucking industry, and I have gravitated from selling trucks to selling insurance, which is a legitimate job, and then gotten education. And the insurance industry was looking at doing some industry-specific classes and asked me back in 1981 to put a program together, and I've been teaching trucking since then. Main objective in all of this was to be able to make it easier for a motor carrier to gain insurance. And through this process, I think we've achieved that. 7 years ago, we started this foundation. I had taught for other organizations, but we decided our own for the first time, bringing retail agents, wholesale agents, who are the intermediaries who a lot of businesses placed, and the insurance companies together. And it has been a success in these 7 years. Our objective is to let people know the importance of doing business with a retail agent who understands their business if you're a motor carrier, because after all, that retail agent is painting the picture of the motor carrier to the insurance carrier. And the second part of it is to encourage the retail agents to offer more than a piece of policy, because the truckers today need a lot of help with their scores, their finances, and things like this.
Yeah, it seems like it's a common... When I have truckers talk to me about they need better insurance rates, it does. It feels like it's this impartial relationship. They don't talk about their agent in any way as if, you know, they're approachable at all, right?
Well, we hope they are. This is when they're not shopping, but I don't want to disillusion your audience, but the rates are not going to come down. Won't come down for a significant part of time. The insurance industry has lost money insuring long-haul interstate truckers until there's enough premium back into the marketplace so that the insurance carriers can make a living or make a profit, or at least break even at this level. The rates are not going to come down. Now, there's going to be a gap between what the motor carrier does right, if they have a clean operation, have access to all this new technology, or paying attention, versus the people who have not paid attention. That gap's going to widen here. Part of it is you've heard about these nuclear verdicts. Well, that's just a tip of the iceberg, because what's underlying that is that mediations and stuff, the insurance companies are having to offer more money because everything's pushed up. About 3 years ago, the average case with fatality was about 1.2 million. Today, the reports are going over 2.5 million just for fatality. There was an article that came out, or a report just came out, FMCSA, that there's more fatalities, not a whole lot more this year than previous years. So it's not a good picture right now.
You know, while you're talking about that, I mean, I was picturing in my mind, in my industry news segment, probably every week, I don't have one this week, and I don't have one every week, but many weeks there's like a 3-car wedge flipped over, or a 9-car on fire. I see it all the time. And that's just stuff that I found on Facebook. I don't know what the numbers are. And I don't know what that costs, right? But that's got to drive up insurance.
Well, costs drive up insurance. And Rich and I had privilege a couple of years ago of a study that showed from the 80s through about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the insurance crashes went down about equal to the inflation going up for medical. I just lost you here, guys.
No, okay. Well, what you still have us. We still have you, but I understand if you lost us.
Okay. Do I need to do something else?
Well, I tell you, we still see you and hear you.
All right. I'm okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Very good then.
All right.
And
Cool.
but about 5 or 6 years ago, what I contributed this to, and Rich and I talked about this, is the interstate system. This was a major improvement to reduce crashes, putting these 18-wheelers in their own environment and lanes without being without the interaction of side roads and stop signs and things like that. But the interstate system has now become congested and is leading to some of the problems. The second part about it is that we came out of the quote recession in the 08, 09. So that became a concern. And now the truckers got more miles per unit, which increases the frequency possibility, because obviously the more times you're behind the wheel on the highway, the greater chance you're going to have a crash. And the third part about it is the lawyers have quit picking on, because of the federal government, the doctors and things like that. So they're picking on trucking companies, because the plaintiff understands about the trucking industry that everybody has at least 750 that's required, but most of them have 1 million or more. There's always something wrong involved in it, and everybody sitting on a jury would be afraid of a trucker running down the highway. What contributed this, if you look at when the loss ratios, and I haven't done a study, Rich, I appreciate your input on this, but the CSA, this new accounting scoring system, came in place in 2010. And that has been a blessing to the insurance industry, because we have more data now to make underwriting decisions, but it's also been a negative because the court systems are using that against us to develop a theory they call the Reptilian Theory, which says this motor carrier is bad. So therefore, even though that driver did not do anything wrong today, you should punish them, jury, and pay more money, make them pay more money because of their past history. And this gets back to what the motor carriers listening to us has to do. They've got to keep their scores clean. They've got to take advantage of all this new technology to reduce crashes, to drive safe on the highway, to take care of the drivers. One of the considerations that the underwriters use, and Rich was an underwriter in the past and does some of it now in a different arena, but the longer the motor carrier keeps the driver there, the better the risk is. But yet, look at the churning in the industry. There's a lot of factors here that the motor carrier can become a better insured by paying attention to their operation.
There's a lot to digest there, and there's so much more to go. I see some folks in the live chat. Laura's saying rates are higher in Texas, California, Illinois, New Jersey, among other states. You were making me think about ELD. You were making me think about, like, Hank. He talks about some recent legislation regarding the CSA scoring, as you were talking about. And then we've got in January...
I'm sorry. I lost you for a second.
Oh,
Go
okay,
ahead.
no problem. And then in January 2020, we have the drug clearinghouse coming, which is only going to... I mean, that's going to... I don't even know what to say.
Well, it's January 6th, and I'll just, any of your audience, and walk through this, and Rich can do this on social media, but Rich and I are doing a webinar on the drug clearinghouse November the 11th at 2 p.m. Eastern time to talk about this. This is going to weed some drivers out.
Yeah.
And one thing that's also a part of this that is underlying this is that the information that Rich and I are doing, and I haven't seen the results yet, but there's more failures of drug tests now because of the marijuana and the opioids in the market, in the system. So now they're going to go from the random drug testing. Random drug testing set as percentage of people who have failed or refused. If it goes over a threshold, it goes up. About 4 or 5 years ago, it went from 50 to 25 because there wasn't that many failed drug tests. But now they've gone over that threshold again. So the random test is now going to be at 50% of the pool of drivers, which is going to increase even more of drivers failing because more are going to be tested.
Wow. Whoa. 50%. That's high. That is going to keep a lot of people in the right in that industry, very busy.
And now you can't you can't avoid it, because now the motor carrier and the testing agency has an absolute requirement to report to the clearinghouse. And before a driver can be hired with a CDL, that potential new employer has to verify that they're clean in the clearinghouse, or they can't hire them.
Right, and anybody, I'll tell you, and I've been talking about this, and again, Rich brought this to me too, the clearinghouse. You know, a lot of folks I've talked to about getting started in car hauling, auto transport, and even trucking, when you talk about drug testing and drug consortiums, there's this malaise, like, yeah, okay, next, let's just go to the trucks, you know. But and that's kind of worked for some people, but that's what we're talking about. This clearinghouse is literally clearing house, because you can no longer skip this step. I mean, how does that requirement take place? Briefly, if we could touch upon that.
I don't know about the requirement, but let's take a step. You remember all the fight about electronic log devices?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
All right.
Still going?
What was the purpose of electronic log devices?
What was the purpose?
Yeah.
The purpose was to keep roads safer, so that drivers could not be tired, and then you could verify that folks were not driving too much.
No, because so many people were cheating with electronic logs, so they had to have an accurate recording of the time they're driving, because they didn't trust the individuals to report keep records straight.
They couldn't trust people to do.
All right.
And that's the clearinghouse.
Now the clearinghouse, a employer has an obligation to tell a potential new employer of a past driver if that driver failed to refuse a drug test. But nobody was doing it, they were doing it. They were doing it, but it wasn't in consistency. So all they're doing is finding a way to enforce the rule more accurately, so everybody's playing on level playing field. So when you complain about it, they're only finding a more accurate way, or a more absolute way to verify that we don't have impaired people on the highway.
So you can't keep it off the books. It's all
you can't not check. You cannot not report. And so now you have to clear it. Now, well, some people figure out a way around it and not check it and hire them. Yeah, but they're going to be subject to some fines and penalty. But now this goes back to insurance. If the insurance industry finds out they're not doing it, they're not going to get insured, because that's going to be a case where we could not defend that the actions of that motor carrier who's our insured. I don't care if the driver did not fail the drug test or have no failed drug test. If they're not doing the clearinghouse, we're just going to open the pocketbook from the insurance industry.
I was going to say, yeah, that's when the lawyers will have a field day, and we just talked about how we're trying to minimize those problems.
You don't need to give any attorneys more ammunition, more quivers in their arrows to be shot at.
No, you really don't.
I'm gonna jump in quick, and as Tommy said, you know, you've had Gina on this show, right? You've had her talk, and I think we recorded this Friday, the 14th of November is when that will be up. So if the people watching this want to attend another webinar, you know, one of the things that this clearinghouse does help to do. I'm in Arizona, and since I've been down here in 2011, the driver always had to take their physical in and get it attached to their MVR, but that wasn't the case, right? So drivers were used to carrying a copy, a certificate along with them, right? So at a roadside, they could show the officer, yeah, I've got my med cert. That gets rid of it, right? Now it's right on your license. You still got to make sure that gets on your license. That little piece of paper that they give you when you walk out of the doctor's office, that's only good for a couple weeks. You know, you still have to get your forms into the right governmental agency in whatever state, you know, Missouri, Florida, Arizona. And you got to make sure that it gets attached to your license. Otherwise, you're going to have a defect. You're going to have a problem.
Which requires the driver to go to the Department of Motor Vehicles every 2 years, take it and register it. Now, some cases like Florida, we don't have to have a lot of license renewed every 10 years. So during that cycle, that driver's going to have 4 physicals and take it down those 4 times. And the problem is the motor carrier now isn't a part of it, but they got to track it and coordinate. They're pulling the MVRs annually, which they have to, and verify on the MVRs that they pass the physical. All this stuff was put in to more accurately enforce regulations. And Rich and I, neither one of us are going to argue if the regulations are right or wrong. They're just there, and so there's an enforcement of it. And this is what we're going to do. One of my comments that Rich will tell you I say often is always blame the government. So, and with trucking, there's always a government you can blame. So, that's a little humorous, but from our industry and from the trucking industry. But let me ask you a question. You look on the highway, Jay?
Do I what?
You see on the highway, how many trucks you see still have jaws on the front grills, or skull and crossbones, or widowmakers on the fenders? All these kind of signs.
Yeah, good point.
I mean,
no, you're right.
You're just giving these attorneys something to shoot at.
Well, and I don't think you see that. I don't think you see that kind of personalization as much. I know there are. You'll see it on Facebook. You'll see guys share pictures of their trucks, or maybe some skulls on some lights. But I don't think you see kind of more of the wild version of personalization as much. I mean, you might at a show or something, but I think on average, I think people in general have learned more. It's better to blend in. It's 2019. I want to blend in. I'm good to go, sir. No problem over here. That kind of stuff.
Well, that brings something up that we teach, because one of the focus of the foundation is to let the agents know that they've got to understand trucking and offer more than a piece of paper, which means help. And very honestly, we don't want them to be a part of the foundation if they don't buy into that system. That's our whole purpose. But what we talk about, you think about it, that DOT officer sees thousands of trucks passing them. So why would they take the time to put your individual truck's DOT number in their system to determine if you have to inspect it? Because they're doing something wrong. They're speeding, not following too close, not using their turn signals. See some a flapping of a load security. The truck's not washed. Things like that. So as you say, if you go in, stay in your lanes, clean your truck, do the DVR every time you change your cycle for the hours of service, you're going to reduce the chances of being inspected greatly.
Right. Well, and I tell you, as far as the scales go, I think a lot of 3-car wedges feel like they get pulled in regularly, like more than regularly. They feel like they're being shaken down. That's how they feel. That's what they say. Well,
they could do that, and I will tell you that we've even had some officers tell us on forums that we have put together at our annual conference that they do discriminate. It's very discriminatory against.
All right, so we're all confirmed, okay?
Right, it's that they discriminate against smaller motor carriers in strange locations who they have not seen before, or if they've seen them before, they keep inspecting them. So yeah, it's just human nature, and it's not a system that we can support or deny. It's just that's human nature. Who do you pay attention to? Somebody you haven't seen before.
Fair enough. Although I will say this, and I'll let Rich, but I hear Missouri, I don't know what's going on I-70 in Missouri, but I hear that is a scale you don't want to go to.
Well, Indiana's the worst, but that's beside the point.
That too, yeah.
And by the way, the insurance premium you mentioned, Florida's the worst state.
Really? Yeah. Okay. And then Laura gets a prize. She had Texas, California, Illinois, New Jersey. That's who Laura had.
Yeah, she left Florida out, which actually right now is probably the highest premium in the nation.
Well, you have these areas, Jay, that become problematic, and if you're from that problematic area, then you're just kind of doomed to be that way. And you could be from a good area, and if you put too much time through an area, depending on how a company reviews you and rates you, Las Vegas is a bad area because there's too many setup type claims. And so if you're based out there, if you have a lot of time through there, so these kind of factors that Tommy talks about, these are the reasons that, when some of these people are asking about an agent, that's why he evangelizes all this stuff to us all the time. We need to know this stuff. We need to understand what's going on in the underwriting manuals and the underwriters' heads, as they're doing their evaluations for the territories that are run. There's these places called judicial hellholes. That's a place where you don't want to have a liability claim arise because it works against you. And so, you should know as a motor carrier where you're going to be susceptible and prone to different types of enforcement. And Tommy said it, Indiana makes money on motor carrier enforcement. So they're looking to make a buck off you coming through there. And jurisdictionally, people get tainted, and they, for whatever reason, have found a lot of these car haulers are running like a bunch of wild men. So they're going to think everybody's a wild man.
Rich, I don't know if you saw the recent article this week that they have, and just came out, that they have cracked the stage crashes around Houston. I was actually with a ACT program there in Chicago, the Attorneys Academy of Transportation Attorneys, and that announced how they found those things out. But that they were staging these things, the same people, they were the same doctors, the same lawyers, and they have now put them in jail.
Wow.
For doing this stuff. But let me say one other thing, Jay. This gets back. The camera system might be part of what will help us in a lot of cases. And I'm not talking about just the front view camera, but the side view cameras. Now, again, another article this came down is that the truckers now do not are working on and they're changing legislation. They don't use mirrors anymore. They're going to use cameras.
Yeah, I saw that article.
Right. And that saves fuel because it reduces the drag on the truck, aerodynamics. So you're going to save a little money in the fuel costs. But the more important part of it is that now that camera is going to record that information, or it can record it. And then the next thing is we need to install those cameras down the trucks in the rear, because you're not talking about much money. I mean, what are you talking about? $200 a camera? I mean, when you talk about $150,000 truck, and that will help give us something in court to defend this stuff. But there is a Supreme Court hearing this very soon that a friend of ours, Aaron Leary out of Jacksonville, who's a wholesaler, has us going into, that the Supreme Court of Florida is looking at, saying those cameras are hearsay and can't be admissible in court.
What? Of course.
Yeah.
There's always a counter argument.
Well,
right? Yeah, you can't trust that visual.
Yeah, that's so we are, and that's one thing our foundation, I sent it out to all of our members to go in and try to support that. And the lawyers that we're familiar with, we check with them, and they are getting involved in it and trying to put their opinion in it. But that's the kind of stuff that how do you fight those kind of systems, Jay? I mean, it's just what we're doing. And yeah, the truckers are being picked on because they know they've got the insurance money to spend. And this is a problem we have. One of the things that, if they're really interested in reducing their exposure, and that is to set their business up in a way that they're insulating their assets as much as possible. If anybody hearing us is still working as an individual, has not incorporated or became an LLC,
right.
I tell people, if they're not smart enough to do it, I don't know if I want to insure them or not. And I don't care if you're owner operator lease to somebody. You want to insulate that. But the thing people do when they fail, they do that, but then they fail to separate the money. You got to have two separate checking accounts. You got to bill each other. You got to keep the paperwork so the plaintiff's attorneys cannot attack that it is a separate entity. I mean, that's the first thing I recommend. One of the sessions in the class we had where the plaintiff's attorneys was asking $4 or $5 million. The insurance company offered their $1 million. And finally, the lawyer that we're dealing with as part of the program said, I finally told them that the warehouses in the family trust, there are other companies in a different trust. All the equipment is leased or financed. There's no assets there. Take the $1 million, or you can fight it and get a judgment and try to collect it 5 years from now. They took the $1 million because they did set up. Now, the plaintiff's attorney said, well, let me look at the financial statements. Give me the court. They don't have a right for financial information until a judgment's rendered. The attorney, because everything was there, the defense attorney actually produced this information to the plaintiff to show there were no assets to get. So then they get the policy limit. So these are the kind of things that if they deal with a good attorney can help them set that up. Deal with a good insurance agent, they can encourage them to do that just to insulate some stuff in case something bad happens.
Let me ask you this. Okay, so and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring up we're gonna go to Rich's image here that I was sharing a minute ago. I want to start with that, and then we're gonna kind of ease into, because there is a lot of material to cover.
By the way, I have the camera back. I can see you.
Oh,
now.
Awesome. Okay, can you see the image I just brought up?
I don't need that image.
Exactly,
I've seen it 14,000 times.
Exactly. Now,
just like he's heard me talk about blame the government. This is our calling card.
This is great stuff. And I was telling Rich, really this was the key to me kind of being able to connect to this material, right? Because you need a visual, you need a way to organize the information. So, let's go through this real briefly, and then we'll keep moving on. But what do we got? What are we looking at here, fellas?
Rich,
Tommy?
That you're my dude. This is your bailiwick. Go ahead.
I told Jay earlier today that I learned this back in 1987, and I always tell everybody, if you got a left hand, you can become a truck underwriter, right? Because this is what ingrained into me. You know, number one is the drivers. You know, that driver points the direction of where this thing goes. The quality of that driver, and Tommy hit upon it. How experienced are they? How long have they been there, right? The competency of that driver. You know, I was a truck driver at 14 years old, drove a school bus at 18 years old, and I think about that, and it scares me today to think that some insurance company had me, you know, on their policy, but. You know, I was told as a young driver how I was going to operate that thing. So I had to be trained. You know, I didn't possess a lot of experience, but there are so many factors to the driver, and age is a factor. I mean, it's shown in personal auto coverage that guys under the age of 25, their brains just aren't working right, and they like to take thrill rides, right? They like to do stupid stuff, and they get, you know, speeding tickets and that. If you're going to be a professional driver, you got to think about that. Your MVR, your motor vehicle record, that is your resume, especially in a driving job. And
Rich,
so,
let me stop it. The other thing they came out 5 years ago with this PSP, the pre-employment screening program. So now not only the MVR is better because a CDL driver cannot go to driver training school, even in the personal vehicle, to wash out a violation. They cannot plead to a different level. They have to be adjudicated what they're charged with, and now their own road activities. Anytime a trucker gets stopped by a DOT officer, a report's written up. That report is reflected by the DOT number of the truck that was on the side of the truck that's being inspected, but it also goes in a database for the individual driver, and a potential new employer can now find out what happened at the roadside that's not on their MVR. So now there's even more information for the potential new employer to make a decision who to put behind the wheel. And that gets back again, this is why they've got to not get inspected.
Okay.
Well, you know, Tommy, talk about living in a glass house. I mean, that's an analogy that you used a lot.
Well, Jay, I say, think about your job. Think of what you're doing, that you got somebody watching you. Everything that you do wrong, somebody records and puts it on YouTube. This is a trucker. I mean, it runs down the highway. And who's everybody? It's a potential new employer. It's the insurance companies. It's the plaintiff's attorneys. It's even the defense attorneys. One of the classes that we did,
like the dash cam sitting there, right, recording.
Well, the whole thing. The idea. Why resist the dash cam if you're not doing it right? I mean, you know, the people who are resisting it are the ones who are afraid that invasion. If they're doing that, will help them save them from the court case and give evidence here. In fact, I had an underwriting class we did in Salt Lake City with an underwriter out of an insurance company up in the Midwest. Said my brother is a truck driver, and at Thanksgiving he was cussing these drive cams. They put it in there. At Christmas they praised him because he had an accident and proved he was innocent, and he kept his job.
Wow.
So that was a 3 month or 2 months difference between blessing them and not liking them. But more data we got with those kind of things where the driver did it right gives us some ammunition to defeat the plaintiff's attorneys bringing up the thing. And think about, look at the athletes. You've seen some of this sexual abuse and some of the spouses abuse. When did it all blow up? When there were videos. Well, the same thing happens if we got a video showing we did everything right. That will also be a very favorable thing. So the idea that, and you can't get a GoPro, you got to get something that records. It's
something
a camera,
stationary and fixed, maybe. And...
Well, no, it's a camera, but the problem that we have in the camera is that it only records 8 seconds before and 8 seconds after something sets it off. And actually, I just saw a court case that CAB reported that Gino and stuff, that a court said you could not go back more than the time frame around that crash. You can't go back and look at everything else on the camera, just at the crash site itself, because that was all that was material for that particular case. That's a very favorable ruling about that part of it. But that's the kind of stuff that you have. We're even getting cases now where could you have disc brakes and stop sooner, or could you had a crash mitigation equipment on it? If you don't have it, well, if you had it, what would it cost you? $2,000. Well, you mean you didn't spend $2,000 to save the life of my person? This is how the plaintiff's attorneys are pitching this, and the juries are listening to it. I mean, it's like you hit the lottery. As you know, this public, Warner's got hit for $90 million, and about 3 weeks ago they got hit for another $40 million. I mean, you just can't. And where's that money coming from? Everybody who buys an insurance policy puts in the pot, because that's what's fusing. The basic insurance 101, Jay, is you take 100 people, you predict the crash, and you spread the cost of those crashes over the 100, even though only 4 or 5% of them are going to have the crashes. It's a sharing.
And when the crashes exceeds the percentage, then
you
you're
got
out of money.
You got to increase the rates.
Right, and there you go.
And everybody's sharing it.
And I do think that the goal, so many of our goals, is to help educate, inform, and reduce loss, exposure, risk, cost, expenses. And at the same time, this is why people are so upset about low rates. But Rich, we're still on number one. We're still on the finger.
Well, no, but the point I want to bring it back around to, something we talked about earlier today. That driver, I mean, how many drivers really get up today and say, "Hey, I'd like to have a crash. I'd like to run over somebody. I'd like to maim somebody." Right? Nobody in their right mind, at least, thinks that way, right? They want to get to work. They want to do their job. They want to deliver that load on time, without incident, right? Get their check, turn back around and roll on again.
Amen.
Right? Yep. That's what a driver wants to do. All these other factors get in the way, right? So that driver and that quality of that driver, and something that was said there by Tommy, the defense element. I've seen drivers thrown in jail. Yeah. And so
over accidents
now,
or
because of the accident, right? So I had a driver from Arizona in a road rage incident in Oklahoma. He gets thrown in jail, so now he's trying to get his hind end out of jail. And where's the community that could have helped protect him, right? Who really instigated that? And I'm not saying two wrongs make a right. We didn't have any defendable position, right?
There was no footage, no camera, no nothing,
no,
right?
He's trying to make an argument in his own defense,
right?
And he's a truck driver, and
right, and the jury's like, yeah, area. right.
He's with a Smokey and the Bandit officer in Oklahoma who's like, "You aren't from around here, buddy. You're going to the pokey." So
and that's the problem. All truckers are not where they're from.
Yep.
And that becomes social, ethical, the whole human interaction with people is a problem too.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Well-
don't know how to. So I want to get on to number 2, but please, what were you going to say, Rich? You were going to say.
All I was going to say too is that those that are watching, whether you're the driver or you have drivers, one of the most important things that driver mentally, emotionally needs to always be prepared. Be prepared. You plan for that trip, right? Something comes up, you plan to deal with it. You have to be prepared. I hate to say it, for the accident. You need to be mentally calm and collected and have some sort of a game plan, because if you make that cop mad at that incident scene, you're probably not going to get a favorable report, right? You're not going to be able to get him neutral to on your side. And I've seen horrible incidents where there's bottles and everything coming out of the vehicle that were crashed into by the trucker. Nothing got recorded.
Oh, wow.
At least now today, phones have videos and cameras, and the driver can try to catch some of that. But, there have been too many times, as we said, you're not from around here. Oh, this happened with the son of a prominent man in Texas, and you're some, stupid trucker out of Arizona. We didn't see anything that
Jay,
did wrong.
We have an hour of videos available for any trucker they want to show what they need to do at the crash site that's put on by some lawyers out of Greenville that I orchestrate and do the things that they do that Rich is talking about. And the other thing is if their agent that they deal with doesn't prepare them when they deliver the policy. Here's the 800 number. Here, how do you report? Here's what you've got to do. Here's to make sure you got the safety equipment in the truck. Rich's favorite thing, you have a vest so you look like you're official side of the road. This is what it is. Which is a very take
Doesn't see my vest yet, Tommy.
Yeah, take pictures but not of blood and not of the skid marks. Take pictures of the overall area. Pictures of skid marks don't work. You need to see the whole picture, the whole view of it. Take a picture of the license plates of people around there in case you want witnesses later, of the tow truck because of the tow charges. That's the kind of stuff that the driver can be trained if the agent spends enough time to explain to the insurer, to the driver, the motor carrier, and the motor carrier takes it serious enough to then have the training for the driver. We got videos to help them in that process.
And I'm excited because next month we're going to do a show with Accident Plan, and we're going to be talking about some of those topics. It's going to be a great show.
Yep.
Again, another one from Rich. Okay.
Yep. Back around to drivers. I mean, we can keep going on it, but I mean,
that's great.
Keep in mind that person, and then secondly, as I said, the tall man, right? The equipment. You never talk about the equipment all alone. Oh, he's got a driver with it, right? But, the equipment, that's where, we used to talk about Pete fleets, right? The Peterbilts, and, nothing against all the new beautiful trucks that are out there. But that equipment, that's what's outstanding, right? And Tommy alluded to it. When that truck goes into a roadside and it looks like it's well maintained and it's not smoking and it doesn't have oil leaking out of it, and it's washed up and the driver looks like he's kept or she's kept, that makes life so much easier, right? So the equipment is critical, and the equipment design, and I've listened to some of your shows and a lot of people ask about it. What is a safe piece of equipment for me to be operating and to be able to get my job done, right? Does it have adequate GVW, GCR, WR? All those factors come into play, but the equipment's critical as to what's being rated, especially in this group. Is it a 3-car wedge, right? Is it a 7-car? Does it got a rack that goes over top? All that stuff makes a huge difference. And so think about the equipment.
Is your power unit matched to your trailer, right? Yep. Is it a mismatch, right?
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yep. So that causes for an unsafe environment that can hurt the driver and all the cargo and everything, right? That's a disaster.
Yeah, it is. In fact, that's why so many wedges get flipped over. You've got you got an F-350 hauling a 6-car, and you're just asking for trouble on that. You're on the corkscrew, and that was it. This one's this one's going over.
Hang on, you wake up your co-driver, right? You ain't never seen something like this happen.
Yeah.
That third thing, like I said, that's where people wear their wedding ring. I call it the heart of the operation. That's where you talked about the business plan. You talked about the operational design of this company. the business. That's what this is. That's where you're talking about what lanes do you run in? Where are you from, right? And if I were to close my eyes and you were to explain your business to me, that's what we're talking about. That's the heart and soul, right? That's the life and blood of this enterprise. Tell me about your company. And you audience that are listening, that's something that you should look your agent straight in the eye and help them understand it, because they have to represent you, right? They stand on your behalf before the insurance company. They're taking an application in and they're saying, this is a great company. These are great people. You're going to love them, right? It's like a marriage license. They're bringing them in. Come on, let's do business together. And this is somebody to do business with. So the operational stuff is important. It changes. Some of the choices that you make can be detrimental to you, right? You can be running into areas that are higher hazard. You sure don't want to be running north today with the snow coming in and things like that. It's better out there. I'm going to take a load to Arizona. It's going to be a little safer coming out of Kansas City
Rich,
today.
Let me also point one other thing, talking about the operation. One of the things that we're paying a lot of attention to now, as you know, is the financial plan. ATRA just came out the report. The cost of trucking went up 7% over from 2017 to 2018. It's now $1.87 a mile to keep a truck on the highway. That's not bad debt. That's not behind the room. And the three things that went up 12 to 14% was the fuel cost, insurance cost, and driver pay. All three of those things, the motor carrier doesn't have control over that cost. It's outside forces. And at the same time, you're hearing that the rates now are going down, maybe not for the auto haulers as much as for the general hauling public here. So the spot rates now are down. Yeah, and so so right now I see a real crisis of not the income, the costs, the expenses are going up, no control. And now they can't, all the gravy's out of it. A year ago, with freights being good, you could be a marginal operator and still exist. But if you're not driving at 6 to 8 miles an hour, if you're not, and you've even buying the fuel, are you hooked up the discounts and this kind of stuff? The things that we even talk to this, let the agents get a feel for this, is that for every 50 cents a gallon, it costs a typical trucker. Now I'm talking 18-wheeler. I'm not talking about some of the auto haulers with the smaller units. It costs them $125 a week. They got no control over that. And just in the last week down here, fuel went up 15 cents a gallon. They went down 15 cents a gallon. And I try to let the agents understand the importance of the finances and motor carriers who understand that. And that's a part that Rich and I try to teach.
Very much so, so
yeah.
Back when I started in 87, we had a rule of thumb for a long haul trucker that they were going to run about 100,000 miles a year and make about $100,000, $1 a mile. Tommy just said it, look how much higher that is today. And if the boards, if you're trying to run off a board and they're paying $1.40, and Tommy just said it, your operating costs are $1.65 to $1.80. How long can you afford to do that? And that's a challenge right now to the insurance industry, Jay. They're losing money year after year. You alluded to it in one of your clips already. If they're losing 12 cents on the dollar, economically, you're going to have to keep jacking the rates up, so we have to control the number of accidents. We have to try to get a cap through tort reform and actions that we can suppress those outcomes. Trucks aren't getting any cheaper. They aren't costing any less to fix. So your physical damage is costing more. You're hauling cars, what if you're hauling Teslas and you crack them up, right? Those are not cheap to repair. And it takes a long time, and that whole dynamic, even auto insurance, your personal car is designed to kill itself to protect you. So if you get involved in any kind of an accident, chances are your personal car is going to get totaled out. So you as a personal consumer on your car, RV, whatever you own, that's why all those costs are going up too. not just you striking somebody else. If you have a stupid incident yourself, if you roll your car and nobody else gets hurt, that car killed itself, and what's the value of your car? So those costs are all going up, not just truck insurance. The auto industry in general is seeing substantial hits to their ability to make profit.
Commercial auto insurance rates. And you were sharing a lot of that information. It just keeps going up.
Yep. Well, Jay, the problem with that is that's all commercial auto, mainly defined vehicles 10,001 GVW or larger. If you took the 18-wheeler segment out of that number would even be higher.
Wow. It seems cost prohibitive for many that want to start a car hauling business. Right? Because maybe you don't have a history of being a safe driver. You can't build that driver profile.
Jay, stop.
Yeah.
You don't have history, period.
Right.
The insurance companies aren't willing to look at one without history. If the way to come that is prove your history while providing the PSP, payroll checks. I've experienced 2 or 3 years, but the most important thing they're looking at now is the business plan. Do they know where the revenue's coming? Because if the revenue's not there, then 2 things are going to happen. They're going to take shortcuts and cheat, and they're not going to pay the premium. The next thing we do, midterm, we cancel it, then we have to reinstate it, and that's just not worth the effort here. Well, and so we were on one of the road dog radio shows during the conference about 3 weeks ago, and somebody asked the question, should I start? Well, no, you're better off now working for a fleet that's got some control there. This is unless you've got some inside track to insurance. You ventures are just right now are not being readily written.
Right. I mean, that's kind of the answer, isn't it? If you're looking to start right now, maybe try to work for another company. Would that be Would that be a recommendation?
I think, are you running for money or are you running with money? And that was a sage truck agent taught me that. Do you have money?
How much equity?
Or are you trying to make a buck, right? Because you're always running on empty. You're always running on credit. And those are the guys and gals that are running scared.
And Jay, I'm quoting now again. I know that in your audience listening here, we've got a different kind of rigs than typically that we deal with of for-hire interstate truckers.
Sure.
But if you're running over a 300-mile radius with a larger truck, and you take a load for $1.50 a mile, you're losing 50 cents a mile. You've got to generate, because now what you got return trips, you've got to take loads in the 220 to 250 cents a mile. $2.20, $2.50 a mile, or you're losing money. Period.
Well,
I made a comment that these truckers don't understand it. They sell their truck to their shippers a bolt at a time, a tire at a time. I mean, because they start with something worth $100,000. 3 years later, they make a reasonable salary. Now it's worth $25,000. They didn't recapture that asset.
Right.
And they just don't understand that. They don't realize that the tires have to be repaired. They don't realize that 400,000 miles, 500,000 miles, the engines have to be repaired. They just don't prepare for that. And then they start borrowing money to repair the engines. And that's a hole they'll never get out of.
Yep. Yeah.
And one of the other pressures that
you
that
just
is
went
out
into
there,
number 4, didn't you, by the way?
the industry is being challenged too by the regulators who want to take the minimums up, right? So we have a $750 or $1 million or a $5 million limit right now dictated, right? That's your 91X, your proof of insurance that goes with your MC. And they want to start pushing those limits up to like a 4 million minimum. Well, think what that's going to do to the marketplace. That's going to just add to everybody's cost. And I don't know how many insurance companies are going to want to play in that game, because now they're that much more prone, right, to getting pushed over the $1 million. So that's been in and out. Tommy's got some commentary on it too.
Well, two things about that. I made a comment. I wrote a commentary just like you talked about. It'll force all smaller motor carriers out. Sooner or later, bigger motor carriers will do it. Transportation has to be there, but all that's going to consumer. But the the legislator of Pennsylvania who's trying to do that is a plaintiff's attorney. There's an article now that just came out 2 days ago that they're accusing him of a violation of his ethics because he's promoting a law that benefits his firm because he advertises himself and his wife still works for that firm as a leading prosecutor of trucking companies.
Wow.
And so that's
Touché.
basically what I actually said that to an article that I had talked about earlier, that because that attorney, I knew him, Rob Mosley has some cases against him. I knew what it was. And I had made that comment that he's only feathering his own bed by suggesting these kind of things. FMCSA did a study, and less than 0.09% of all crashes were not settled within the limits that at the 750. And so that was a study mandated by the MAP 21 Act, that they did a study and they found there was no reason to increase it based on all data that they had. It's just being raised again.
Well, and by the way, so in dry van reefer, well, I can't speak reefer, but in the dry van in trucking, 750 cargo, but in auto transport, if you
we're talking about $750,000. We're not talking about cargo, Jim. We're talking about cargo. BI and PD.
That's so when a trucker sets up their registration, their federal motor carrier safety.
Okay, you're on licensing
registration, right? They have a mandate that goes along with their authority grant. So if you're a dry goods hauler, you're at 750. Once you start getting into, and the reason that auto transporters need $1 million is that they have a exposure to a pollution type claim. They have a miscellaneous hazmat. They are hauling vehicles that have a combustible engine.
Right. Heard this.
And so the flatbed hauler that hauls a forklift, that's a combustible engine. Household goods movers, they might get a lawnmower or a chainsaw in there. That's a combustible engine. You could be hauling brand new lawnmowers or chainsaws that never were ever run. Those are combustible engines, and you're still considered to be a miscellaneous hazmat. That's under the regulation scope. So if you're going to be an auto transporter, you should make that clear distinction. And then the government requirement is a 1 million minimum. And so when you buy your insurance, there's something called a 91X that your insurance company posts that goes with your authority to make it active. That all ties back around to some deeper subjects that we won't get into tonight, but it has to deal with pollution. Maybe we will later on. That's an exposure that most auto transporters don't think that they have with the cargo on board. But we will get to that. Drivers, equipment operation, losses, right? We want to have hopefully nothing to talk about, but we got to eliminate, mitigate, and reduce the losses that transpire. So we need to look at loss ratios, and we need to understand the losses. And you better be able to explain the losses that happened to the agent so that they understand it. If they have to tell the next insurance companies that you're going to, if that loss was caused by a driver, then what did you do with that driver? How did you counsel them, right? Did you keep that driver? And every time something bad happens in your company, you better be smarter the next time. And I'm going to put my thumb up for management, right? How did you manage driver's equipment, your business, the losses? If something happened, you don't repeat that mistake again, right? So that's where we're talking about thumbs up quality management of your enterprise and of all these different factors. That's what makes a better company, right? That's who, Tommy said it, that's who's going to stay in business. That's who's going to make sure that they've got a passion to do this job consistently without accidents. You know, nobody wants to say, hey, Jay's smacking our cars up all the time. Let's hire Jay again. You know, that's not the reputation that you want to have, right?
Jay, and I just also, you pointed out the truck turned over. But let's think about in Florida.
Yeah. That
truck gets hit by a four-wheeler, caused accident, caused damage to the car. Because of CARMAC, we're absolutely liable for pay for the damage of those cars because of our insurance, our cargo, we have to pay for it. Florida, you don't even have to have any BI. All you have to have is 10,000 PD. How far is that going to pay for those cars that your driver had no exposure for, didn't cause the accident? Somebody else did, but we have to pay for it, even though our insurer did not cause the accident to the cargo because of the federal acts. And the four-wheeler has no insurance to get it from.
And that's the really frustrating part of this business, Jay. When you have $100,000 rig and you've got $50,000 worth of vehicles on it, and some moron comes left to center to play chicken with you, right? And he's got no limits, he's got no insurance, he's got a minimum amount, like Tommy said. And his company says, hey, you know, here's the $10,000 that we have for your $150,000 worth of damage. See ya.
And no assets.
That really, really jerks, you know, a motor carrier's chain.
Well, and in California, I mean, they have non-motorist accident coverage is standard. You got to have it because you got a lot of motorists without any insurance.
Well, but those don't pay for cargo. Uninsured motorist pays for damage done to people or in some
personal
cases vehicles, which is physical damage, but not cargo. That's the exposure.
Wow.
Cargo, we're absolutely liable.
Wow.
Well, we all see the I call them the wildlife attorney firms, right? They always have the eagle and all these other stupid things, right? You know, all the plaintiffs' attorneys. We have a husband and wife law team here in Arizona. They're making a big campaign about uninsured, underinsured motorists and why you should have more, right? So they're selling insurance, essentially. They're telling everybody to buy higher limits because that next person doesn't have insurance or they got minimum limits. And you want to have $1 million to protect yourself when they hit you, right? We want you to have $1 million so that we can defend you, right? And we'll take 25, 30, 40% of that. We'll take $300,000, and you can have the rest. That's their pitch. And I mean, it's pretty sad to see that, but it's the truth.
But that again doesn't pay for the cargo. And think about your cases, Jay. You already mentioned 2 or 3 times. And auto haulers, even when we teach it, we talk about the auto liability itself is not that much difference. It's a cargo that becomes the important element of auto haulers.
Well, and then, you know, we haven't even talked about general liability and other types of coverage that come in the picture with folks that, let's say they're going to work for a vendor or a company, and it's just going to be a 1-time, 2-time, 3-time deal, but that company says, well, we can't send you any loads unless you also have general liability on your policy. And
Jay, that's the best buy in insurance. General liability is the cheapest coverage you can get from exposure. Again, I can't quote it thing, but it's $500 to $700 up to 20 power units until you have a garage and off. And and what you just mentioned is what we talk about. You need to buy it now because if you don't have it, you're going to lose that load, and that loss of that load is going to pay for the insurance for the whole year.
And I have seen that on some occasions.
And that again, that's where the agent needs to explain that to the motor carrier or to your to the auto haulers or to your people.
And I've seen this to be a problem in the auto transport field, right? Tommy just said it. You don't want to spend that extra few dollars. It's not a few, it's hundreds.
Yeah.
But do you want to be eligible to get into, and that's where a lot of this is driven. I can't get into this auction house yard. I can't get onto the premises of these places because I don't have general liability.
That's right.
Right? They're holding the certificate going, hey, too bad, so sad, you can't get the load unless you go get some insurance.
In fact, somebody asked me the other day, I was on one of these shows, and they said, my agent asked for this information, stuff that Jay just, that Rich just went through. Should I give him that information? Well, my comment to him, if the agent didn't ask for it, then they got the wrong agent. The same thing here. If your agent isn't offering you general liability, you got the wrong agent. If the agent does not explain now the problems with owner operators and the work comp and the audit work comp, you got the wrong agent.
That's a great tip right there, right? This is a way of knowing as the carrier how your agent's doing.
Right.
Let's turn those tables around for a second.
Well, here's another way to look at truck insurance. The blame it on the government, as Tommy says. The government first says you got to buy auto liability insurance. Then the mortgage holder on your pickup, truck, trailer, they say, you got to have comp and collision on that asset that you've got a lien against, right? The owner of the goods say, you got to buy cargo because you have control of our stuff. It's in your care, custody, and control. You've got the other governmental entities that look at workers' comp and they say, if you have employees, you have to have workers' comp. And then we've got general liability that shows up also as a contractual. You have a legitimate exposure, but those are 5 of the top, and Tommy nailed it. If your agent's not talking to you about it, or if they don't know how to get a solution for it, how many agents do you want to do business with? And hold them accountable to something like that.
And even Jay, even if the agent doesn't tell the motor carrier what their CSA scores are, to help them there. If they can't point out which of the vehicles the drivers are having by serial number, which vehicles are having the most inspection problems. If your agent doesn't come with that information, you got the wrong agent, because that's available here. And the thing they got to realize when they choose that agent's primary job is to paint the picture as favorable as possible. I say the good and bad and ugly. I'll just tell you why the ugly is not as ugly as you think. If the agent doesn't be able to sell that, then they got the wrong agent to sell it to the insurance provider.
In a previous show, Jay, I mean, there is a lot that goes on behind the curtain, and there's these reports that the insurance companies can get, and Tommy just nailed it. They know which VIN is having inspections, and as an underwriter, I would say, who's driving that truck? He's your problem.
The underwriters even know how many other insurance companies are looking at the same report to determine how many other insurance companies are going to bid on that. And contrary to other things, the more people who are bidding on it, the less interest they offer to offer a quote.
There was some really good. There were some good chat messages. But before I forget, I wanted to ask you. You talked about a couple webinars coming up. And right. Also, I don't want to forget to ask about, is it Trucking You? Is this where?
No. It's MCIEF.org.
Okay.
And if you go there and just send a note to Beth there, we can send any motor carrier the information if they want to be on the webinars and stuff like that, even the white papers. I just wrote one that will be out this week concerning the new scores, the new financial stuff that ATRA just came out with. And actually, I just wrote one that your people might be interested in about why brokers and shippers shouldn't ask for where additional insureds, waiver subrogations, lost payees are already those requirements.
Additionally insureds.
I'll send you. It's in the policy, or they don't want to be additional insured because the only people insured in cargo policy are people that has the cargo in their care, custody, control. No shipper or broker ever has it in care, custody, control. So therefore, being additional insured doesn't give them any protection at all. They are the lost payee because it's a legal liability form, and we got to write a check with people whose property is damaged. They're asking for things that they don't understand what they're asking for, and the insurance industry is not smart enough to say you've already got the coverage, and if you do, they don't believe that. I was in a big argument about the difference between additional insured and designated insured, and they're saying, and we got insurance companies who will put additional insured endorsement and charge for it that gets less coverage than the policy without an endorsement, because the customers are asking for things they don't know about.
I can name at least 2 broker carriers in auto transport, big companies that insist on additionally insured, or we're not going to talk about a load.
Well, they don't know what they can't be additional insured because the cargo policy, insuring a cargo policy, is the person of the cargo's care, custody, control. A broker does not have a care, custody, control. If they do, they can't be a broker.
So what we need to do is next time you get that,
I'll send you. I will send you the article.
Yeah,
it came out. Rich, you read it. I think we hit it. Don't you not, Rich? You got it this week, didn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, I just put it in the marketplace the first of the week.
Dear broker carrier, go watch Auto Transport Intel on November 5th at about an hour and a half into the show. and listen to Tommy.
Or have a copy of it. I'll send them to
Yeah,
them
I
so
want a
they can
copy.
look at it.
Yeah.
Now, I'd rather, and the point here is let's educate everybody to give them what they need, not ask for things
When
that
they need it.
Right. So they have it when they need it, not things that somebody put on a checklist that doesn't give them any coverage. And I'm part of this, Jay. I blame the insurance industry because they don't also see the big picture. So part of it's writing them to tell them, go ahead and send a certificate that says you're a lost payee, because that's what you are if you own the cargo. Make them additional insured because you're not giving them any coverage at all, because it's the only people who are going to insure. The insurance agreement says we'll cover your liability for property in your care, custody, control. A broker doesn't have it, so they'll never qualify as an insurance policy because they don't meet that. They forget it's a legal liability contract. Cargo policy is a Bailey contract. It's a legal liability contract. It's not property coverage.
I remember you made me think. I was on the phone one time as a dispatcher. I couldn't get a load because we kept talking about on hook. It just kept coming.
So on hook tends to be tied to like a towing company.
Right, and the driver's on the phone yelling, "I'm not a tow truck."
There you go.
Well, but on hook can be a cargo policy, but it's also a garage keeper's policy if it's hauling cars, and most of your auto haulers would have a garage keeper's policy if they have any repair facilities at all, and that's what the on hook coverage would be.
So Tommy, this is a great topic that came up earlier today with Jay. So again, your ecosystem, right? Your audience here. So those cars just don't magically appear behind the trailer, and those cars don't just get driven off the trailer.
Love it, yeah.
And hand the keys over, right? You got some challenges because you're driving these things blocks or miles at time, right? And so that liability exposure, that damage to that car, all those factors are in play. And how many of these vehicles come off the trailer and get held in a lot or get held in a garage or get put on another truck that's heading that direction, right? Because I'm going to keep going that direction. So
I got one. How about the driver? This happens. The driver carrying 3 cars gets to Walmart. He gets in one of the cars and drives to a restaurant, gets something to eat or whatever. Gets in a fender bender. How's he doing?
He's having a bad day.
He's stupid.
It happens. It does happen.
Well,
I mean, rarely, but I'm not like trying to have fun, but what is he? I mean, where is he? Within legal and insurance dimensions, where is he?
My suggestion is his personal auto policy might do that because it's not a business pursuit. And that's where he'd go through first, not his commercial policy.
Okay.
And then it would depend on what's a covered auto. If you have non-auto coverage on the policy you have, which is not that hard to get, it's probably covered there. But let's say if they're just loading and unloading and they damage it loading unloading, that is covered under auto liability. If they damage somebody else, not the car. The thing you got to look at, I don't know how much they look at the cargo policies, but some cargo policies say we'll cover the unloading it to the curbside or to dock. Some say within 1,000 feet, some say within 5,000 feet. I was in a big E&O case here because the cargo policy the agent offered did not provide defense. And there was an argument about the value of the cars. They ran up a $60,000 legal fees that had no coverage in the policy for it. So they've got to get a duty to defend in those policies here, because that anytime you're going to have a dispute of damage and or value, again, a car being damaged, crush it, what's the value? That's going to end up in court. And the policy has to have a duty to defend in it, or they're on their own to defend that.
I'm going to go, okay, I gave you scenario 1. That one was ugly. Scenario 2 is more common. The Walmart is 5 miles away from the residence. It's a busy city. There's just nowhere to meet. Let's meet at Walmart. And then I'll get in your car and I'll drive you back home and I'll drive back to the truck and now I have your car. We get in an accident at your house 5 miles from the Walmart where my truck is. What dimension am I in?
Well, that's auto liability because you're loading the vehicle
Okay.
on the car. I mean, that would be. Now, you might go back and there might be coverage on the personal vehicle policy here, because if they're giving them a ride back to their house, you might argue I'm talking about the personal vehicle of the person who you're loading or not, because it depends on what that policy would be. That policy would be brought in the case also, and then you'd have the insurance company trying to sort out the coverage in that area. But that would be auto liability because it's loading and unloading. Now, the detour you're talking about, again, might be on their personal auto policy, the person who requested them to do that.
Okay, because the transference of, the driver driving someone back to their residence, I see that happens all the time. It's just it's a facilitation of logistics. How am I going to get your car? Where can we meet?
Yeah, I'm in Florida. I'm in Fort Myers, and Rich being in Phoenix, we have a lot of the people who have the auto haulers take their cars back north in the summer, and down here in the winter, and are doing the personal transportation,
Right.
Not the ones coming out of auctions or dealerships, which is what we focus on most often when we talk about auto haulers. Is that the thing we look at is people hauling new cars for dealers and or used cars out of auctions from dealers, not the personal vehicles that are being transported for the customer themselves, because they have multi-locations, homes and stuff.
I think, really, most of all, what I just wish there were, I know, like, the fires, there's inspections and other issues at play here. But on the flipped over wedge trailers, I just wish we could stop seeing that. I don't know how we decrease the number of flipped trailers that we see.
I think Rich hit it on the head. I think most of them, their equipment is not capable of handling it. If you ask me that question of flatbed, you can get now stabilization systems on trucks and pair tractors and trailers together that avoid the turnovers. Now, again, some of the smaller 2-3 car haulers aren't, and the pickup truck's not equipped for that.
And I'll go back to another prior show where I listened to your guys talk about insurance, but talk about their equipment. And I'm not the expert here, but I've heard it said that this brand versus this brand versus this brand, right? The size of the drums, the size of the discs, the braking capabilities, right? Is that truck more capable of stopping, right? And the same thing with the trailer. And you got to think about the center of gravity, right? Jeeps are known to have a higher center of gravity and they roll over. So you just said it, when you're loading that thing, what's your weight distribution, and just be aware, this, I should be putting sedans, but not RVs, or what do I want to say, crossover type vehicles on this thing, right? And you gotta be figuring this stuff out, and I'm not an engineer, and it is life or death for your driver. I hate to be that morbid.
And for other drivers, because if that trailer flips over, everybody else has to cough up $50 or $100. I don't know what it is, and it just keeps on happening. I think the common misconception about this is great. There's a great common misperception about what that pickup, when you remove the bed, is able to do.
No,
I hear it all the time. Let's load a 5-car, 6-car trailer on. Let's take the bed off the pickup, throw on a 6-car, and it's like, what? Wow.
Well, you don't have you don't have air brakes. And how are you going to stop it? I mean,
Jay, list, yeah.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. Any tool. Think about any tool. If it doesn't do the job, it's the wrong tool. From a wrench that doesn't big enough or not strong enough or doesn't have enough leverage. Right. They've got to have the tools of their trade here. And then again, this gets back to the financial plan, the ability to buy the right equipment, the ability to have enough dollars to do that, and to sell to the customers enough service that the customers are willing to pay for that extra service. The ones who are trying to take the shortcuts are the ones that are going to have the problems, and the ones who can't get insurance, both on cargo and the liability.
I one time wrote a specialized auto transporter, and through the guy that took care of the equipment, I gained a great amount of knowledge. That tractor that has that vehicle loaded over top of the driver's cab, right?
Right.
That vehicle has a lot of weight on it. That has to have special tires on the steer, unlike others, right? Because there is a load demand there that most tractors got it way back here, right? This one's got it laying right on top of the driver. So you got to have a special configuration, and you got to consider all of that too. And so the braking capabilities in that, speed kills. And so are you overdriving this vehicle's abilities to brake, to maneuver, to remain stable? And there are unsafe roadways. There are studies from this ATRI again that have shown, the cap on these roads are unsafe. And if you get any kind of water and hydroplaning and you don't have the right tires, there's problems that are inherent that are going to get to you. My job driving a school bus at 18, one beautiful winter morning, I get up on a roadway and it's all black ice. And when I start hitting the brakes, because of the cap, the way that the road is sloped, when I hit the brakes, I'm sliding it. This whole bus full of kids starts sliding towards the ditch, because that's the reality. Do the drivers have any comprehension of what to do with that?
I wanted to, you gave me a lot of great resources. I wanted to kind of touch upon some, because I know we're kind of we're in our final stretch here. I don't want to keep you guys forever.
You got to realize it's past my bedtime.
Exactly. So we're gonna kind of get through a few of these documents pretty quick. But I just
This one's on freight brokers, so keep that in mind. If you're a freight broker, right? How do you manage your exposures?
And this is what I wanted to say, is that one of the great things that you're doing is you're trying to bridge, as you said, I think, carriers and insurance agents. And I know then brokers come into play here too, and that's tertiary to what we're trying to talk about. But insurance plays, no matter what role you've got, insurance is at the top of your list of concern, right? Use what on MCIEF 22 hours of, is it 22 hours of training?
That's the trucking you to get the designation. You have to listen to me or Rich for 48 hours.
48
pass
hours.
And pass a test.
And pass a test?
Yes.
I'm not being tested on this, am I?
No, because I'm not sure that you have given me enough indication that I can go say blessing over you.
Good. I don't want to be tested. I'm telling you, it's just such deep information.
Well, and again, I go back again. My strong suggestion everybody's hearing is get the right agents who's willing to spend the extra time.
How do you do that? How do you get the right agent?
Well, first off, you look at the ones that have done the designation, the TRS designation, Transportation Risk Specialist designation. They're the people who have gone through this kind of time frame. Ask them, are you one of those? And if not, go find somebody. You can call our website or go on our website, and we can tell you where and look at who has the designations and find area agents in your area. We're more than willing to do that.
What's the phone number?
The phone number is 800-741-4084.
And we always welcome more agents.
Rich, let me say, answer Beth. You can email her at beth@mcief.org and email her questions.
That's great. That's what people are looking for. 800-741-4084, beth@mcief.org.
Right. And we're in the same office. She'll pass on to me that all the serious questions, but just the information we have. But particularly if they want to get that webinar or get that white paper on brokers, I'm more than willing to send that out.
I really want that white paper.
I'll send that to you.
And while I'm thinking of it, so Rich, what are those webinars? Where can people go? The Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse, right?
Yep.
Where can people go to watch that?
Well,
Can they?
that's going to be live, but on our website, they're also already, the previous ones are already there. We did one before that's the discussion I told you about what to do with a crash site. That's on our website now. So the one that we're going to do on the 11th is a live show. It's the one we do every month. We do one every month on the second Thursday of every month at 2:00.
Hey Jay,
Yeah.
we just published a newsletter from our company, and I'll flip that to you, and it's got those URLs
Okay,
embedded.
great. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to share those.
Yep.
And
I'll get.
because now those webinars, they are on the MCIEF website, or is it a different website?
No, that's our website.
It is.
Excuse me. The archived ones are on our website. The live ones, you get the invitation through our website to hear it live. And we actually we're redoing the website now. We have a link now for motor carriers.
Okay.
All the motor carrier has to do is give us their DOT number. We're not solicitation, but I want to prove you're a motor carrier because everybody else has to pay to do that.
Right.
But
Right.
we feel that the best insured is one who understands what they're doing and can help us do a better job for them. So we want to educate motor carriers as much as we can in these areas, because I think it's good for the industry for them to understand the insurance part of it, because that's a big part of their business. It's 8 or 9% of their cost. And so, but if they can help us tell their story better and give us the information we need, the better job everybody can do. So we welcome that, and we'll provide that any information they need. We're more than willing to do it, and we speak at conferences and stuff like that just to explain this stuff to them.
Jay, you see me on LinkedIn, you see me on Twitter. I push stuff out there. People can connect or can follow me. I mean, a lot of this stuff I do push out there, so it may have a slant towards insurance people at times, but other times it is about risk and safety and things like that. So, the reality is we're always welcoming more agents. If your agent's not a member, we'd love to bring them into the association group and learn. But I'll also promote the fact that a lot of these people are very active in their state trucking associations, and that is another place that you can go to. Is you can go to your state trucking association and ask who's active from the trucking insurance side, right? Who are some of your allied members here that believe in trucking and they hang around with truckers and they advocate, right? And that's another thing that we do is we highly promote that inside of our MCIEF group. You should be taking care of your state association people in dealing with issues at home. Just like Tommy said, when we were trying to get some legislation through Arizona, was I a part of that? You bet I was. I was standing there with the truckers. He's saying the same thing over in Florida. You agents should be a part of this thing. So go get involved in it.
Wow, you guys. You know what? I really appreciate you spending so much time with us tonight. Great information. I am looking forward to getting that white paper. I'm looking forward to getting the URLs of those upcoming webinars. I want to share that stuff. And I thank you guys so much for spending this time with me and us. So thank you.
Thank you.
You guys have a good night. We're going to let you go, okay?
We're
care,
gone.
man.
Thank you, Tommy.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you, Rich.
See you, Rich.
Appreciate
Bye.
y'all. Wow. That is amazing. Okay, let me get my let's get this camera back online here. Give me a brief second. Need some kind of a jingle while I straighten out the screen here. Let's see. I gotta hit the escape key on that. I can't get that. Oh, I can't get that out of the way. That's okay. You know what I wanted to share? Actually, check this out. Is that there were some other documents that Rich had shared with me, and I don't know if you can see these or not. Nah, I think it's going to be in the way. You can kind of see it in the background. Here, let's do this. Let's go to see if I pull up the information superhighway. So he's got some risk to other employees, property damage, the amount of bullets and information and areas within which to consider all of the insurance implications, it is amazing. And it keeps coming back to that picture. Okay, so we had drivers, equipment, the business, losses, management equals your insurance premium. Wow, I actually got it. You know, I really want to thank Tommy Ruke, founder of MCIEF, for joining the show tonight, spending the time with us. Tommy does a lot, has a lot of information, and I'm honored that I got to have him on the show tonight on episode 110 on Auto Transport Intel, that he was able to spend the time with us. I'm sorry that I wasn't able to get to all of the live chat questions, or even many of them. There was a lot going on, and I'm sorry about that. I know that I think the recommendation is that what you want to do is find out if your insurance agent has the TRS designation. Either way, maybe call that 800 number, 800-741-4084 at MCIEF, or send Beth an email, beth@mcief.org. Ask questions, get information. And I want to thank Rich Bren. Rich, this was Rich's idea for us to do this show tonight. He is the one that helped me get in touch with Tommy, bring him onto the show. You know, Tommy is on Road Dog Trucking periodically on Sirius XM, and is known nationwide in the insurance community. So if you have other information, if you're watching this show on demand on YouTube and you've got a question, you can put it down in the comments. Also, be sure to check the description below the video. I put in the time codes of different segments. I'll try to share some other information in there that we got tonight. And I really do want to help point you in a direction if you're looking for an answer. I am not the expert, but I'm in touch with many experts, and I want to help. So this is Tuesday Nights Live on Auto Transport Intel. I'm Jay, your host. And you know what? Next week I'm going to be live in Vegas at the Used Car Week .biz convention. I'm really excited to be there. Here, let's do this. I just want to turn that off here, and I'm just checking. Great education tonight. You know, thank you for participating in the live chat. It does mean a lot, and it helps me think about, you know, what I want to do next, where we need to take this, where we need to go. After Used Car Week, I think we've got, I can't remember what's coming up. Then we've got Superflow coming up in a future show very shortly. We talked a little bit about Pro ABD. I do want to thank Superflow. Superflow is an advertiser this month, and we've got the interview and updates coming up. Remember, if you're looking for a real all-in-one, end-to-end auto transport software solution, Superflow Systems has your CRM, TMS, mobile app, and load board. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to Auto Transport Intel. Please do send me an email, autotransportintel@gmail.com. Remember to like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends. And other than that, here comes the car hauler. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I'll see you next Tuesday night.